Heather O'Rourke, the child whose smile lit up Poltergeist, and Ron Howard, the director who knows the weight of Hollywood's expectations on young actors, share a story the world has only glimpsed from afar. On screen, Heather seemed untouchable, delivering lines with a poise far beyond her years, making horror feel magical, effortless, enchanting. Behind the camera, however, illness and exhaustion shadowed her every step, invisible to audiences who saw only brilliance. Fans remember her laughter, her charm, the way she brought joy and fear alike to life. But what Ron Howard has now revealed casts a new light over those memories, revealing pressures that were never meant for a child. Even decades later, the truth unsettles the memory of innocence, highlighting the fragile balance between talent and vulnerability. How could a girl so adored, so meticulously cared for, navigate a world that demanded perfection? And why is Howard speaking only now about struggles that shaped her life and legacy? The answers may forever change how we remember Heather O'Rourke and the reality of the world she inhabited behind the cameras. From the very beginning, Heather O'Rourke had a light that drew attention. Born in 1975 to Michael and Patty O'Rourke, she carried a spark of curiosity and warmth that was impossible to ignore. Her earliest experiences in front of the camera, guest appearances on Fantasy Island and Happy Days, showed not just talent, but a natural instinct for performance. Even as a preschooler, she could memorize lines, understand timing, and deliver emotion in ways that astonished directors and crew. Her parents noticed early on that her gift was exceptional, yet they also recognized the fragility that accompanies such young talent, guiding her carefully through each opportunity. By the time she was cast in Poltergeist at age 5, Heather's presence on set was already remarkable. Cameras followed, lights shone, and adults hustled around, but she seemed to exist in a space of her own, blending instinct and imagination effortlessly. Colleagues recall her laughter and charm, her ability to shift from playful mischief to intense focus, and the natural ease with which she connected to every scene. She was small in stature, but carried an energy that drew everyone in, a warmth that softened the high-pressure environment around her. Heather's parents, Michael and Patty, acted as vigilant guardians. They negotiated schedules, monitored her health, and offered quiet counsel, ensuring she could pursue her craft without losing the essence of childhood. Even amid the demands of memorizing lines and performing under scrutiny, Heather maintained her joy, curiosity, and mischievous spirit, playful moments that reminded everyone she was still just a child discovering the world. Her rise was rapid, but there was a subtle tension beneath the charm. Each step forward in her career came with expectations few children could manage. Crew members and co-stars witnessed a combination of brilliance and fragility, a delicate balancing act between professional poise and personal vulnerability. While audiences saw a radiant child delivering unforgettable performances, those closest to Heather saw the quiet effort it required, the small hints of fatigue, and the invisible burdens she carried alongside her gift. Heather's story at this stage is one of wonder and early mastery, yet also of a young girl entering a world that would demand far more than her years should allow. Ron Howard's journey in Hollywood began as a child himself. Born in 1954, he navigated a world of bright lights, long hours, and high expectations long before he stepped behind the camera as a director. From The Andy Griffith Show to his early film work, Howard experienced firsthand the pressure placed on young performers, the subtle and not-so-subtle demands of an industry that required perfection from its youngest talent. That history gave him a perspective few directors share, an understanding of what it truly means for a child to balance brilliance with vulnerability. His awareness of these pressures would later color his reflections on Heather O'Rourke and her experience in Hollywood, shedding light on a story that audiences had never fully known. Howard has long spoken about the delicate balance required when working with child actors. He knows that every set is a mix of wonder and intensity, where magic is created under constraints that are often invisible to viewers. A child may deliver lines flawlessly, yet carry fatigue, illness, or anxiety beneath the surface. In his directorial work, Howard has emphasized careful scheduling, mentorship, and emotional support, understanding that the smallest interventions can make the difference between a thriving young actor and one pushed too far. This philosophy was not abstract. It was born from lived experience, a recognition of the fragility inherent in childhood within Hollywood's machinery. Reflecting on Heather O'Rourke, Howard acknowledges that even the most devoted care from parents, mentors, and co-stars cannot eliminate the pressures of production. Her brilliance on screen, her instinctive timing, her natural charm, her ability to inhabit fear and wonder alike, was accompanied by vulnerabilities invisible to the audience. Long hours, repeated takes, and the physical demands of filming Poltergeist created tension that only those closest to her could perceive. Howard's perspective underscores a truth that resonates across generations of child actors: talent alone cannot shield a young performer from the realities of the industry. Howard has often emphasized that the pressures of Hollywood are both structural and emotional. The expectations of directors, producers, and audiences converge on a child, creating a weight that is difficult to measure yet impossible to ignore. For Heather, this meant navigating a world where smiles and laughter could mask exhaustion, where charm and poise concealed physical strain. Howard's reflections illuminate this delicate interplay, a reminder that every performance, no matter how effortless it appears, is underpinned by effort, resilience, and sometimes struggle. Even decades later, Howard's acknowledgement carries a weight of truth and tenderness. By speaking openly about the pressures Heather faced, he honors not only her talent, but the unseen challenges that accompanied it. His insights provide context for the decisions made by her parents, the guidance of co-stars, and the environment of the set itself. Heather's story, seen through Howard's perspective, becomes a study in the balance between care and expectation, brilliance and vulnerability, a reflection of how extraordinary children can inspire awe while quietly navigating pressures adults often fail to see. Howard's voice serves as both reflection and warning. It reminds viewers that Hollywood's brightest lights often shine on those most exposed, that child actors' brilliance is inseparable from the care and attention they require, and that even with love, support, and guidance, vulnerability is inevitable. By framing Heather's experience within this understanding, Howard transforms her story from one of isolated tragedy into a cautionary yet deeply human portrait of childhood in the spotlight. By the time Heather O'Rourke was cast in Poltergeist at the age of 5, she had already shown remarkable poise and instinct in front of the camera. Yet stepping into the role of Carol Ann Freeling placed her in an environment that demanded both charm and endurance. The production was intense, long hours under bright lights, repeated takes to capture every nuance, and a script that required a child to navigate fear, curiosity, and wonder simultaneously. Heather carried these demands with a maturity that belied her years, delivering scenes with an authenticity that made audiences believe in the terror and magic unfolding on screen. Even as she performed with such brilliance, Heather was quietly battling a medical condition that complicated her life far beyond the challenges of acting. She suffered from intestinal stenosis, a congenital narrowing of the intestines that led to blockages and severe complications. For months, the illness went undiagnosed or misdiagnosed, causing intermittent pain, weakness, and hospital visits. Crew members recall moments when she would press a small hand against her stomach or appear unusually pale between takes, subtle signs of the strain she carried. Despite these challenges, Heather returned to set with remarkable resilience, continuing to deliver performances that were nothing short of extraordinary. The contrast between Heather's radiant on-screen presence and her off-screen vulnerability was striking. Colleagues observed a child who could shift seamlessly from laughter to intense focus, yet behind the charm was a young girl navigating illness that few of her age could comprehend. Her parents, Michael and Patty O'Rourke, remained constant guardians, negotiating filming schedules, ensuring medical attention, and providing comfort in moments of distress. Their vigilance created a space in which Heather could continue her work safely, yet even with such care, the demands of production were relentless. Ron Howard, reflecting on the pressures faced by child actors, notes that illnesses like Heather's magnify the delicate balance between talent and vulnerability. A child's ability to perform under physical strain is remarkable, yet it highlights the unseen burden of maintaining composure while in pain. Heather's performances were both a testament to her extraordinary courage and a reminder of the hidden challenges she faced. Each scene of fear, wonder, or excitement required energy that her young body sometimes struggled to muster, and every line delivered with perfection carried the quiet weight of her condition. Heather's experience on Poltergeist illustrates the intersection of brilliance and fragility. She captivated audiences with her innocence and instinct, yet she did so while managing an illness that no child should face alone. Mentorship from co-stars, guidance from her parents, and careful oversight from directors allowed her to navigate these challenges, but the tension between her talent and vulnerability was ever present. Even in moments of playfulness or joy, the undercurrent of physical strain was part of her daily reality, a reality largely invisible to viewers enchanted by her performance. Her story during this period is both inspiring and poignant. Heather's ability to bring Carol Ann to life while quietly enduring her illness highlights the courage, resilience, and support that defined her young life. It also underscores the harsh realities of Hollywood for child actors, where extraordinary skill coexists with profound vulnerability. On the set of Poltergeist, the world saw only magic, a small girl, radiant and fearless, navigating a house filled with supernatural terror, with an authenticity that captivated millions. Behind the cameras, however, the reality was far more complex. Heather O'Rourke faced demands that would test even seasoned actors. Scenes required repeated takes to capture precise timing and emotional nuance. Lighting setups dragged on for hours, and every director's instruction carried the weight of expectation. For a child barely old enough to tie her own shoes, the environment was exhausting, yet she approached every moment with focus and courage. Even with her parents and co-stars nearby, the pressures of production were relentless. Michael and Patty O'Rourke worked tirelessly to ensure that Heather received breaks, proper meals, and medical attention, monitoring her closely for any signs that her health might be faltering. Yet, long before the cameras rolled, the demands of memorization, focus, and performance had already begun to weigh on her. Crew members recall moments when Heather's face paled between takes, her hand subtly pressing against her stomach, or her energy dipping just enough to reveal the strain behind her perfect delivery. Every scene she completed was a quiet triumph, a balancing act between brilliance and vulnerability. Ron Howard has often emphasized that the pressures of child actors extend beyond performance. Directors, producers, and sets operate on a rhythm that rarely accommodates a child's limitations. For Heather, even with extraordinary resilience and unwavering parental support, the structure of production amplified the challenges she faced with illness. The juxtaposition of her effortless on-screen charm with the hidden fatigue behind the scenes created a tension that only those closest to her could perceive. The very brilliance that made her a star was inseparable from the physical and emotional strain she carried each day. Heather's co-stars also played a subtle but vital role in supporting her through the pressures of filming. Jo Beth Williams and others on set recalled moments when they offered comfort, guidance, or simple reassurance during difficult scenes. These acts, small and often invisible to outsiders, became part of the network that allowed Heather to maintain her focus and deliver the performances that would define her legacy. Even amid these supports, however, the intersection of illness and professional expectation was ever present, a quiet shadow that threaded through every scene, every take, and every moment of brilliance. The reality of production life for a child actor is that every performance carries an unseen weight. In Heather's case, the demands of Poltergeist were compounded by her intestinal stenosis, a condition that required constant attention and yet did not pause for the demands of filming. Each scene demanded energy, emotional range, and physical composure, and Heather gave it with remarkable skill. The delicate balance between her talent and vulnerability was maintained by love, oversight, and the sheer force of her courage, yet the strain was undeniable. Her story on set is a testament to resilience and brilliance in the face of extraordinary challenges. Heather's ability to navigate exhaustion, illness, and the high expectations of Hollywood while captivating audiences with authenticity is both inspiring and heartbreaking. Heather O'Rourke's life, though radiant and full of promise, was heartbreakingly brief. On February 25, 1988, she passed away at just 12 years old. The cause was septic shock, brought on by complications from her long-standing intestinal stenosis, a condition that had troubled her for years and had been misdiagnosed multiple times. In the days leading up to her death, Heather had shown signs of distress, but the severity of her illness remained largely hidden until it was too late. For a girl whose life had been illuminated by cameras and applause, the quiet fragility of her body proved insurmountable. Her passing shocked family, friends, and the film community alike. Michael and Patty O'Rourke were left to navigate the sudden and devastating loss of a child who had been their world. Colleagues from Poltergeist recalled a girl who had brought life, joy, and energy to every set she touched, a presence that now existed only in memory. The contrast between her enduring performances on screen and the vulnerability that had always accompanied her off-screen was stark, a reminder that even the brightest light can flicker unexpectedly. Ron Howard, reflecting on Heather's life and untimely death, has spoken with a quiet gravity about the pressures faced by child actors. Her story underscores a truth he knows all too well: brilliance in youth often comes entwined with vulnerability. Despite devoted parents, attentive co-stars, and careful guidance, Heather's life was constrained by circumstances far beyond anyone's control. Howard's acknowledgement is not just about the pressures of Hollywood, but also about the fragility inherent in childhood itself, magnified under the spotlight of fame. The tragedy of Heather's passing resonates beyond the details of illness. It is the loss of potential, the heartbreak of a life that seemed destined for enduring impact yet ended far too soon. Fans remember her with awe and love, but the depth of her courage, performing, smiling, and working while enduring physical strain, was largely invisible until Howard's reflections surfaced decades later. Every line delivered on screen, every expression captured, carries a weight that audiences could never see. A young girl confronting pain with a grace that belied her years. Heather's legacy, however, remains undimmed. She is immortalized in the films that continue to enchant audiences, her performances as Carol Ann Freeling forever etched in cinematic history. Yet Ron Howard's commentary adds nuance, reminding us that behind the magic was a child navigating forces far larger than herself, a girl whose spirit shone in the midst of struggle. The story is a poignant lesson about the human cost of brilliance, the importance of care, and the fragility of life, even for those whose talent seems limitless. In remembering Heather O'Rourke, it is impossible not to feel the weight of both admiration and sorrow. She brought joy, fear, wonder, and love into living rooms across the world, yet her life was constrained by an illness that no amount of talent or guidance could fully overcome. Her story, reframed through Ron Howard's perspective, is a reminder that even amidst applause and acclaim, child actors bear burdens that are often invisible. Heather O'Rourke's life, though heartbreakingly brief, left an imprint that endures far beyond the screen. She was a child of extraordinary talent, whose laughter, charm, and instinctive brilliance captivated audiences, making fear and wonder feel real in equal measure. Yet beneath that radiance, she carried burdens unseen: illness, fatigue, and the relentless pressures of a world that demanded perfection from someone so young. Ron Howard's reflections illuminate these hidden truths, reminding us that even the brightest stars may struggle in silence, that brilliance often coexists with fragility, and that love and care, however constant, cannot shield a child from life's cruelest twists. Her performances remain timeless, but Howard's perspective deepens our understanding, revealing both the courage Heather carried on set and the human vulnerability that defined her story. Remembering her is not just about films and fame. It is about honoring a spirit that shone brilliantly, fleetingly, and tragically, leaving a legacy of both awe and tenderness. For more emotional stories, check out this video.